Okay, so we know, right? There's been issues with ride shares, right? This is a thing. Safety, there's been problems, right? This is something that, has happened and it's not great, right? It's definitely not great. But yeah, what can you do? What can you do? So I tell you, right? Lyft have they've decided to introduce this new scheme, right? This new initiative, which is a little bit mm, like it's a little bit weird, right? They're calling it Women Plus Connect. And no, the idea isn't weird, but like when you think about these things, right? So the idea is they're introducing this new thing. So when you go onto the Lyft website, at the moment there's a banner at top. It's introducing Women Plus Connect, rides for women by women, right? So essentially, right, you're a woman, you want to take a lift and a trip somewhere, but it's late at night and you've seen plenty of programs where a male driver turns up, says it's your lift, you get in, and then suddenly doors locked and you're going somewhere crazy. So they're like, to put people at ease, if you click on this thing, there is I think there's a high percentage. I'm not saying it's not completely guaranteed, but the percentage is that you will get a female driver to come and pick you up, right? Which, on paper, not a bad thing, right? They think it would help women apply as drivers, right? Because they're thinking, if a woman knows that all she's going to do is be picking up other women, she might feel more likely to want to do the job. She'll feel safer doing the job, which I get. I understand that, right? Now, the other, I feel, spanners in the work of this scheme, because although on the banner on the website, right, and the name of the thing, right, Women Plus Connect, it's not just women, right? So they're saying this is a feature for women and non-binary people, right? And so non-binary can be anything, right? Women can identify as non-binary, men can identify as non-binary. So, you're like, oh, I want to be safe. And then you've got this huge dude, right? Like a pro wrestler type, you know. I'm gonna say Bam Bam Bigelow because I cannot think. I'm not up to date on that shit. I stopped watching wrestling way back. You know what I mean? But yeah, so you've got this huge person, like a defensive line. You know what I mean? NFL player type, but they identify as non-binary. So they're going to be the passenger, which then it kind of defeats the purpose of the thing, right? Because if you're thinking, I only want to have women customers or I only want to be driven by a woman, then a male identifying as non-binary gets in. What do you do in that situation? But then here's the big thing, right? Here's the other big thing with all of this. Anyone can be violent, right? Anyone can be violent. Anyone can have a bad day. Anyone can be rude. So just because it's a woman doesn't mean you're necessarily going to be safe, right? There's plenty of women murderers. You know what I mean? There's plenty of women that have done some super heinous, terrible things, right? We women lie, right? There's just all manner of things that could still go wrong, you know? So although I think the the idea of the scheme is to try and make people safe. Boom. That you commend someone for trying to make people safe, right? But I don't necessarily think this is going to make everyone safe, and instead of just creating something with the god damn it, I cannot think of words right now, right? But it's kind of like, it's throwing up the signals. It's like if you put the LGBT flag on something, right? A UK flag on something, everyone thinks, oh, that must be good, right? That must be good. No, that doesn't mean it's good. Right? We've seen plenty of fraudulent things posing as, but it's signaling. And this kind of feels like it's a little signaling. There's been all of this bad press about how people have jocked the system, right? Criminals, violent people, sex offenders have got to be drivers for these companies. And so then they're doing heinous things, right? But they filled out all the forms, they got the role, because they lied, right? So there's been all of this bad press. I know in the UK, like Uber, the taxi system and TfL were trying to block Uber. Now, that's partly because, they're being fuckeries. Right, there's plenty of people have had mad issues with black cabs. You know what I mean? So a black cab is no safer than an Uber or a Lyft. But you know what I mean? It's this whole all these people get attacked on the underground on trains, right? But it's this, we want a monopoly. We don't want other people in our space. But they will use the bad press and go, see, they're unsafe, right? So I understand creating an initiative, being like, look, we're doing stuff, but I kind of feel there's other things you could do to really create a safer environment. You know what I mean? There's other things that you could do, right? You like if there was a thing where the trip was live streamed to a system. And look, AI is out, and there's ways to use AI for the betterment. So if, let's say, AI was monitoring these streams, so this minute something looked off, boom, then protocols come into play, right? If you have to go through an extra layer of training and scrutiny before you can be a driver, like if you want to be a teacher, you have to do a DBS check over here, right? If you want to be a teacher or someone who is working, in hospital, you have to get it. If you're in contact with children or vulnerable groups, right? So you have to have these DBS checks. Now, I don't know if you need those sorts of things to be an Uber, Lyft taxi driver, but maybe you should, right? Let's think of the other things that could be done to keep people safe, rather than a scheme that still has plenty of holes in it where you could get in trouble. You know what I mean? Look, women fight, women box, women do MMA, women do rugby. Like, women can be violent, right? Non-binary people can be violent, right? Just because you're classifying yourself as a thing doesn't mean violence is not in your core, is not in your DNA. So I think that safety can't just be a signal, can't just be lip service. We need to do more. Now, as I said, I commend the effort. I don't know if it's enough, right? I do not know if it's enough.